This week's video probably should have been a scumbags of the internet, but next week's video is already one. So look forward to that while I roast this scumbag. Oh, and thanks for supporting The Habit at patreon.com/. In criminal law, one of the basic rights that accused people are supposed to have is the right to a speedy trial. Well, imagine if real courts moved as fast as the court of public opinion. People would be tried and found guilty or not guilty in about 5 minutes. In Alabama, the chair would never even have a chance to get cold. And perhaps the best example of this we're going to get this year was when Twitter judge, juries, and executioners reopened the case of DrDisrespect. If you don't know who that is, the Doc is a loud, brash, confident video game streamer who wears a wig and sunglasses. He was permanently banned 4 years ago from Twitch in a decision shrouded in mystery. I mean, what did he do for that to happen? Whatever it was, it must have been huge, right? Amaranth has been given like 10 timeouts from the platform for being half naked in front of audiences. Rules have been written and then rewritten when women were pretending to stream topless with what was being called the implied nudity meta. So what did DrDisrespect do? At the time, he claimed he had no idea himself. Twitch never told him. They just banned one of their biggest moneymakers, someone they had just signed a multi-year contract with, didn't tell him why, and refunded the memberships of his entire audience. They had previously suspended him for something like 2 weeks for live streaming in a public bathroom at E3, something that's a crime in California, by the way. They once banned iShowSpeed for telling a woman to her face that if they were the only 2 people left on Earth, there'd be nothing she could do to stop him from repopulating with her. And then let him back on 2 years later. So you can imagine how one might be forgiven for speculating that it had to be worse than that. Again, this has been a source of speculation for 4 years. There was a court case about it. Supposedly, non-disclosure agreements were signed. Then, Friday night, June 21st, pretty much out of nowhere, a guy named Cody Connors, a former Twitch employee, tweets this. He got banned because he got caught sexting a minor in the then-existing Twitch Whispers product. He was trying to meet up with her at TwitchCon. The powers that be could read in plain text. And then followed that up with, no one made the wrong decision. Fuck him and his boys. At no point does this guy say a name, but immediately it's assumed it's about DrDisrespect, which is maybe the funniest part to me. This guy has like 8,000 followers. He's nobody. He could be talking about anyone. And the internet immediately goes, well, this is clearly about the man who wears a wig and has a mustache and looks like a warning poster they hang in a school. And so, you are about to enter the court of public opinion. The people are real. Sort of. The cases are real. And the verdicts are pre-established. On one side, the people who immediately believe it. Again, I get it. He looks like a man who owns a windowless van. Sorry, but he does. On the other side, the, well, where's the proof people? Which is an absolutely understandable position to take. Probably the right one. Innocent until proven guilty, right? As long as you're willing to accept a guilty verdict. But we'll get to that. Weakening this accusation, it comes out that this Cody character is now some sort of wannabe musician who is trying to use this as bait to get people to come to his concerts a couple of years ago. He once claimed that if he sold out the shows he was playing, he'd tell you why he, again alluding to Doc, got banned. Speculation abounds. If he committed a crime, why would they have paid out his contract? Why would he not be in jail? Dorothy, we are not in Kansas anymore. If we were, you could plow a 16-year-old and your cousin, but you can't marry them. That would be gross. A giant billion-dollar corporation like Amazon is not going to cover up a sex crime. They have board members to answer to, and the liability could destroy billions of dollars in value. Sorry, what internet did I log on to today? The same internet that believes Wayfair, a multi-billion-dollar corporation, sells children to the elite using special codes, thinks a corporation would never try to cover up something as big as some weirdo said dirty words to a kid, so they stopped letting him use a website? DrDisrespect responds to a post that night, claiming that this has been settled. No wrongdoing was acknowledged, and they paid out the whole contract. Okay, little weird. no wrongdoing was acknowledged isn't I didn't do what Cody says I did, but he's bound by that NDA, right? Except, usually NDAs also state that you can't tell people about the terms of a settlement, and bragging they paid out the whole contract seems contradictory. The next morning, he references the settlement and then says, I didn't do anything wrong. All this has been probed and settled. Nothing illegal, no wrongdoing was found, and I was paid. And advertises that he'll be playing Elden Ring on Monday. On Monday, he starts his stream by saying this.
For those that are looking for me to expand on this weekend, not gonna. I already said what I needed to say. I don't give a fuck about this guy.
The thing you need to say, Doc, is simply, I never sexted a minor. Surely, if this is a complete fabrication, no NDA could stop you from saying that. Like if someone had claimed DrDisrespect actually got banned because he filmed himself sucking off homeless people, you'd be able to say, that never happened and I'm going to sue you for defamation. One might speculate that the reason he can't say those words is because it wouldn't be true, and typing them on the internet, where nothing ever goes away, except for people's sanity, would put him in a very bad spot legally. Then, all of his sponsors start dropping him, including his own game studio that he founded, who stated that they presume his innocence, and then after speaking with parties involved, they decided to part ways with him. Clips start floating around of DrDisrespect looking at his phone mid-stream, going silent for a solid minute or more, mood completely changes, and then abruptly announces on the same stream, where he said he didn't care, that he's burned out and he's going to extend an upcoming vacation. And then, literally one day after saying he won't say anymore, he says more. A lot more. I won't waste your time reading the whole thing, it's still up, but he says, were there Twitch whisper messages with an individual minor back in 2017? The answer is yes. Were there real intentions behind these messages? The answer is absolutely not. These were casual, mutual conversations that sometimes leaned too much in the direction of being inappropriate, but nothing more. Perhaps the most telling thing, after claiming, as you know there's no filter with me, he immediately filters himself, editing the word minor out before putting it back in. Either because a lawyer told him, no, you can't take that out. Or he realized Twitter's edit feature for blue check idiots like you shows a history of your edits. You already said it. So, Cody was telling the truth. He was texting inappropriate shit with a minor. Which, yeah, might not be illegal. Hence, no criminal cases. But it's fucking weird. Again, weird enough that Twitch banned him for it when they found out. And why did they pay out the contract? Because they probably forgot to put a clause in like, we can terminate this if we Chris Hansen style catch you chatting with kitties in the DMs. Huh, silly them for not thinking about that. So, we have a confession, and that's still not good enough. We need to see the logs to know what he said. Did he know how old she was before? He just wrote a fucking novel. If he didn't know her age, that would have been his first defense. But on Thursday, another ex-Twitch employee, who decided to remain anonymous, told Rolling Stone, yeah, he knew. He was told she was underage, and the doc said it was no problem and continued sending explicit messages. But that's not good enough. People still want to see the logs. Personally, I don't want to read Dr. Doodiddle's risen up a teenager when he had a wife and kid at home in the other room. He said he did it, and we know he's downplayed everything else. So, you know they weren't just exchanging Pokemon strategies. He was trying to poke Hermons. And then you have people like Melanie Mack, lamenting that cancel pigs were right. That's more upsetting to her than Creepo was spending more time grooming a kid than his mustache. Listen, yeah, innocent until proven guilty. Johnny Depp, I know. There are cases where people are wrongfully accused. This is not one of those times. This isn't cancel culture. This is a guy exposed a creep. You can't just be happy that a predator was exposed? And I absolutely think that Twitch has a lot to answer for here. Their silence is pretty deafening too. Why did they never say anything? Why did you just let him go to YouTube or every other social media platform where, who knows, he could have done this again? Not our problem. We're too busy deciding how much tits we'll let this girl who looks like a drowned rat show. Some feel this was vindictive. This was a hit piece. Maybe it was. So here's a valuable lesson. If you're going to set out to be a divisive figure, you're going to call yourself Dr. Disrespect, you're going to make enemies, and you're proud of that fact, well, make sure you don't sext minors. That way they won't have anything to use against you. Actually, even if you aren't planning on making enemies, still, maybe avoid sexting minors. I know, what a prude I am. And if you're still like, oh, but the age of consent. Stop, please. You don't have to tell on yourself. And if you still can't believe he did it, just to be clear, the man who plays dress up and plays video games for a living while basking in old glory, bragging about winning a video game tournament in the 90s that he never actually won? Oh yeah, that guy sounds way too mature to talk to teenagers instead of actual adults. Anyway, Doc, enjoy that vacation. Since you don't have a criminal record, you could come on up to Canada. Visit Drake. You guys can exchange contact lists and grooming techniques.